Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the Sportlight with Calister, and oh boy, yes, I have missed you. I know you have missed me too, but here is a recap of what happened in the Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, the Serie A, League One, basketball, boxing, and the NPFL, which I have a guest joining me today. His name is Abdul, Mr. NPFL. We'll talk about everything going down in Nigeria professional football, and big transfer news going in, big players moving, teams like Chelsea, Man United, Man City, and Tottenham Hotspur indecisive of who will be their new managerial coach. We have the Copa Italia going on, the Copa American going on, we also have the Euros 2020 going on. Stick with me while I go on the short break and come back, and we get down on what is going on in the world of sports. I like the way you're feeling now. And welcome back. I said earlier I'm going to have the Mr. MPFL, Mr. Abdul. Sorry, I know you're not Mr. Abdul. He's very, very much single. Yes, Abdul, welcome to the Spotlight with Calister.
Calister, wow, it's nice seeing you again. It's been a while. Did you travel abroad?
You just been yesterday. I saw you yesterday. But let's talk about the Premier League. Were you surprised about what actually happened in the Premier League and how the table ended? We have the likes of Man City being the crowned champions of the Premier League, Man United following suit, and Liverpool, Chelsea dramatically
Made it to the top four.
made it to the top four ahead of Leicester City. Meanwhile, they lost that game to Aston Villa, while Leicester City lost to Tottenham Hotspur. Were you surprised with them?
Maybe, of course, with the fact that Chelsea somehow got into the Champions League spot, despite the fact that many didn't expect them to make it at the beginning of the season under Frank Lampard and the way they started. But for me, I think the biggest surprise was Liverpool this season. You look at the fact that Liverpool struggled the entire season after, of course, injury to their key defender, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Many expected Liverpool to fall out entirely, of course, of the title race, but they did finish third on the Premier League table. And you look at the fact that they were defending champions, and many expected them to give Manchester City a run for their money in the Premier League this season. Unfortunately, again, Liverpool did not do so well in that one. So for me, I think City deserve champions, Manchester United second in the Premier League, Liverpool third, and Chelsea just scraping it ahead of Leicester City fourth. A balanced top four for England, you will see a good representation, and of course to go into Europe come next season. So for me, I think it is good for all both four teams, of course, are making it to Europe. Unfortunately, again, there is no place for the likes of Arsenal, and of course, good one also for West Ham, who made it to Europe.
Yes, I was actually going there. Let me cut you off. I was going there not to talk about the turning point for Chelsea, where Thomas Tuchel took over, won the Champions League, and made their way to the top four. But I want to talk about, before we go to West Ham and what David Moyes has done with West Ham, fantastic job. I want to talk about Leicester City. Now, Leicester City. I want us to look at Leicester City. Now, you have Vardy was not firing, but you had Kelechi and Nacho covering, doing the job. But Leicester City did not manage to make it to the top four. Again, that is 2 seasons in a row. Why spending 242 days, the longest on the Premier League table? What really is the problem? Is it Brendan Rodgers' tactics not working, or Leicester City need to get key players? You have a Madison, you have Jamie Vardy, and you have a Kelechi Iheanacho, which is a senior man Kels now.
Well, I think for Leicester, it's more of a mentality rather than, of course, the manager. You look at last season, they came so close.
Yes, very close, shocking.
Of course, they lost it out. This season, a bit of heartbreak, 242 days spent, of course, in the top four, more than any other team. 100 days more than their next team that spent that, which was Liverpool, if I'm not
Liverpool.
that spent.
No, Man United, 155 days.
That spent that amount of days. So for me, I think Leicester City have themselves to blame. And look at Brendan Rodgers, he has bottled it again. Of course, he did it one time with Liverpool where he failed to win the league, despite the fact that he was so close to winning the league. He has to do with mentality for me. Vardy was not firing, like again, he did not fire at the
But Kelechi Iheanacho stepped up and had like 18 goals.
It shows that again, it wasn't about if one player was not scoring, another was scoring. it is clear that it is now, of course, a problem with the attitude of the players and of course the mentality of the coach. It is simple when you get to that state with a manager, you bring in a psychologist to talk to these players and of course even look at the evaluation of the coach. Brendan Rodgers knew that this was a possibility for him and the Leicester City side, and for me, he would have worked on it, but he failed to work on it, and Leicester City ultimately failed, of course, to make the Champions League. Sad one for them, but unfortunately, they will just have to do it with a place in Europa.
So it's safe to say that Leicester City are not yet ready to be a top four title contender. But moving on, let's go to West Ham United, where great things are happening in West Ham United. I want to say something. Is it Lingard coming to West Ham United and David Moyes? Are they the turning points for West Ham United?
For West Ham, I think they saw an opportunity, of course, to get...
Because they had a tough fixtures, because they played the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool.
They had a great opportunity to make it into Europe. Lingard came in, and of course the atmosphere at the club changed. That's what happened.
So is Lingard actually the turning point for West Ham United?
It is both. Lingard alone cannot end West Ham the entire point. You should know that if Lingard...
But he had actually had a great time in West Ham United, more than he had at Man United.
He did.
I think he was part of the turning point for David Moyes' side.
Most definitely. You look at the fact that when a player is loved at a club, you play your best football. When you are in a club where the manager trusts you, your teammates trust you, and of course,
and believe in what you can offer,
and the fans back you up, and that's exactly what happened with Lingard. It was at the point he was on a scoring streak for them, and West Ham seized the opportunity and made it to Europe. For me, I think it is clear West Ham will try to keep him next season. I don't think it is possible. Lingard wants to return to United, but for David Moyes rather, a fantastic job he did with West Ham, and I think for me, I think the Europe, of course, making it to Europe is just the icing on the cake for David Moyes for a fantastic season I had with West Ham.
Sad one for me. I wanted David Moyes' side to be in the top four, but they didn't make it. But for Lingard, if you could listen to me, I don't think you have any business in Man United. You should stick with West Ham United, where you have a lot of playing times and being loved. And don't forget, with a performance like that, he missed out of the Euros. England, he was not part of the England squad.
But
finalist,
the reason why he was even included in the initial squad
was because of
the West Ham move.
Thank
so
you.
If he was United, they would have.
That was the thing. So I don't think he shouldn't.
It was a win for Jesse Lingard, and of course, I do hope England do not suffer in the absence of Jesse Lingard.
I think we'll talk about the England and the Euros going on, but right now, Jesse Lingard, you better stay at West Ham United. And now, Abdul, let's just talk about Chelsea briefly. Dramatic season for Chelsea. The sack of Frank Lampard brought in a new league in these players. We saw players that were not title contenders winning the Champions League of all things, and not easily beating the likes of Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid back to back, and Man City. I think one of the most informed
teams
in Europe. But let's look at Thomas Tuchel now. Should we say the problem of Chelsea now is solved? 30 games in charge of Chelsea, 19 wins, 6 draws and 5 losses. So would we now say that Chelsea have managed to solve the issues of coach?
Maybe, of course, maybe not. Chelsea is an iron and firing club. Roma Abramovich bought Chelsea.
I think they are trophy-oriented
club. Of course, in 2004, and in that space, he has had 17 different managers. You look at him, he is a no-nonsense manager. If you don't do well, he shows you the door. If you do well, he keeps you. So for Thomas Tuchel, good one for him. Came into Chelsea at a point where Chelsea were at their lowest.
I think they were in mid-table then.
Exactly.
A mid-table team.
They were
ninth on the table.
They were at their lowest. They had an hurdle in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
They did somehow overcome that hurdle in both legs. Fantastic game. And of course, had an easy draw in the next round. Then they got the likes of Real Madrid.
Easy draw?
No, of course, the FC Porto was a bit easy in the round of 16.
FC Porto too
was a bit easy. It was a fair draw. You will not say easy because they're not easy teams in football. It was a fair draw for
Thank
Chelsea.
you for that.
And of course, in the semi-final, it did with Real Madrid. Of course, they got over Madrid over both legs. And in the final against City, fantastic one for Thomas Tuchel. I think why he's not being talked about a whole lot is the fact that it has happened before with Chelsea.
Yes,
Matteo happened in 2012.
But it was quite different.
To even win the FA Cup in that one, why Thomas Tuchel lost the FA Cup to Leicester City. For me,
and in the same season, Arsenal both beat them home and away.
Exactly, for me. So I think sometimes these things do play a part, psychologically in football. But for me, I think it is good for Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel. A season where nobody expected them to do so well. That's why it's a bit special. Look at the likes of players they have, Mason Mount, of course,
Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner,
Kai Havertz,
Kai Havertz.
players they are facing so well.
Yeah, they didn't really do well. A lot of people were saying they are flop. And players like Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner, that they were wasted money. But under Thomas Tuchel, it's not a different kind of football. Though a Timo Werner has not yet
lived up to what we expected.
Yes, his finishing needs to still be checked. But moving past Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea, congratulations to them. It was not an easy win for Chelsea. Congratulations for being the champions of the Champions League. But let's go quickly to Spain. Atletico Madrid managed. What is this? It was for Luis Suarez. Dramatic. The rejected stone became what? No, the cornerstone became